What is the color of God? A friend of mine was telling me something the other day about, he came across this racist guy, this Christian guy who was, was like berating him and say how, and because he was black, saying something that about his color, you know, how could a Christian, serving a black God be so hateful towards black people was this question. So it got me thinking, and the concept, I think what he was really looking at was the physical aspect of God. You got Judaism, you got Hinduism, you got Islam, and you got Christianity. And those four religions, they all serve the same God. You got Hinduism is Krishna, Christianity is Jesus, or then you have Islam is Allah, and you got the Hebrew, which is Jehovah, or Jehovah, which is a Greek word translation of the word. They're all the same God, and the the Hebrew text describe God, at least one of the descriptions, because they don't have any physical description of God, because he never came, as far as I know, during the Old Testament to Earth in a physical form. So they describe God as in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So if you look at it, that text, you would see that God is described as sound. The sound, that is root is vibration, then it's sound, and then you have audible sound. Audible sound is the word. So if God is the word, he is from quantum physics. If you look at quantum physics, you study there's something called string theory, which is vibration. Unfortunately, we are only able to scientifically measure using the Planck constant. So at this current stage, we are unable to get to that level of measurement. But from my perspective, it's viable to accept the fact that vibration turns into sound, and sound, you can get audible sound out of it. And sound waves, light waves is made of sound waves, as far as I understand it. If I'm wrong about that, put it in the comment section down below. But from my perspective, light waves is created by sound waves, and sound waves is created by vibration. All right. So what we see is the consequence. When we see color, that's a consequence of the sound waves of God, right? So from a spiritual or a perspective, to really say God is this color or that color, is really looking at a surface level or the elementary level of what God's supposed to be. Not even going into a whole lot of theology. So, of the four religions, I only know of Christianity and Hinduism that has some kind of description of God in his physical form. Pontius Pilate, from what I've read years ago, this is one of his descriptions of Jesus Christ, is that he was dark-skinned with reddish woolly hair. My hair isn't woolly. It's a little too straight. I have more Indian in me, but it's more kinky than this, and it has that woolly texture. And that would be how they describe Jesus. Jews at that time were black people. So it's not really far-fetched as a race to see that Jesus, if he is as described as a Jew born in the Jewish faith culture and was born of Jews, that he wouldn't be black. So from a physical perspective, he came to earth as black, right? And then the Hindu religion described God as black as well. They say there are many descriptions of him, but the one that they serve, the version of God that they serve, that actually who they say is the full power of God coming to earth. He came to earth as a black man. He was 7 feet tall, really black, like midnight black skin with a bluish undertone. and his upbringing was parallel to Jesus Christ in many ways. In order to, if those of you who want to read about it, you can read the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes, pre-God coming to earth to alleviate the burden of the earth as Krishna, who is black. And then if you can further along, if you want to do some further studies, you can read the Mahabharata, which took place within the time frame of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you want further, like more spiritual information, you can read the Bhagavad Gita, which took place within the Mahabharata, but it's not written within the Mahabharata, it's written separately. But it took place during one of the battles within the Mahabharata. So those are the three books if you want to really get into more depth. And if you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, and the story of Chaitanya, I think it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is much later, like 500 years ago, you will have a better understanding of Jesus Christ if you're a Christian. And you really want to get a better understanding of that. Read those books. Jesus is black as a physical form. Krishna, as a Hindu describe him, is black in his original physical form when he comes to earth. And of course, from a color perspective, black absorbs all light, therefore all the colors of the rainbow is within black. So it's not far-fetched to say that God is black if you want to use more abstract thought. But it's better to look at color, right? Because all the religions have the same conclusion: serve God. That's all it means. Serve. They all come to that same conclusion: serve God. So knowing his color really isn't important. The color of God, if you want to look at it from a spectral or spiritual type thing, or even ethereal, God's color is a consequence of sound. It's bouncing off stuff. It just so happened that God is inclusive of all things, so he would naturally be black. But that's just a consequence. If we couldn't see that with this physical eyes, there would be no color to see. So, don't really think about God as far as color, because scientifically, he's coming from a vibration, which is sound waves. Sound wave turns into light. But if God is everything, would you even be able to see God either spiritually or physically? No. So you wouldn't be able to even see that color of black, right? God is all color. We see color as a consequence, not as it is. So don't get hung up on that. From a physical perspective, as him coming to earth, he came to earth. If you believe that Jesus is God, he's the only God, then he did come black as a black man. If you follow Hinduism, he's black. The way they serve, you go to any temple, you'll see a black Krishna and a golden color Radharani, which is his internal energy, which is golden color, and this is his power. But from a spiritual perspective, just serve God. When you start getting the color, those are just the surface stuff, and the color is more of a consequence, like as I mentioned before, and it really has no bearing on spirituality or your personal relationship with God. Treat everybody equally, because yes, God came to earth black, and if you're serving the physical version of God and not the spiritual, not into the spiritual side of God, know that he was black, and just love everybody. Y'all have any questions, ask in the comment section down below. Have a good day.